Yes, welcome back to V8 Creative and another episode in the three-wheeler build. And what are you going to see this week? Well, I've decided to take the engine out. Yes, welcome back to the Dean Den and another episode of Spannering on the Morgan three-wheeler. And yes, as you heard in the intro, I've taken the engine out. Oh, what did I do that for? Well, I was never planning to remove the engine. However, when I was trying through the gears, trying to disengage the clutch, it wasn't playing ball. So I knew somewhere within the mechanism it had seized or some surface rust had stopped that clutch plate moving backwards and forwards on the spline. So, yep, I pulled her out. And then there I am staggering around with this engine because I didn't really need an engine lifter. It was just so light just to lift it as a whole. Well, light's probably the wrong word. But anyway, by taking it all apart, sure enough, the clutch had seized onto the splines on the prop shaft. So I'm going to put a new clutch in. I've got the engine out, which allows me then to refurb all the front chassis members. And boy, it is looking really smart now. So it was the right decision. So I guess all that's left to do is let's get over to the car and you can enjoy watching me staggering across the Dean Den with a Matchless V-twin in my arms. Blimey. And there we go. One engine out. Cool, that took a bit of lifting. This all looks pretty good back here. I'm going to remove these brackets, media blast them and spray them. And what I can do is I can assemble the engine on the bench here now, which is far better than in the car because I've got full access to it. So yeah, pretty good. Right, so what we're looking at here, this is basically the flywheel that bolts on the back of the engine. And you can also see here, this flywheel has got a starter ring on it. So if I wanted to add a traditional starter on this car, I could, but I just quite like the idea of cranking it. It just adds that bit of authenticity to the car, even though a starter was an upgrade at the time. Now, this surface here, this was where the clutch was actually pressing down on. You can see a slight discoloration, but this is super flat. It's perfectly usable, doesn't need remachining. In fact, I just gave it a small rub down with a bit of emery and it's good to go. Next, we've got this. This is basically the pressure plate. And again, here, this is the clutch surface. And again, that's smooth. I just gave it a bit of a rub down and I've cleaned all this up. It was pretty skank in here, actually, a lot of dust. But all in all, this is in pretty good nick. Pretty good. And what's interesting is, I don't know if you can see this, I'll do a close-up. There are balancing marks on this. So at the top here, there is a 2XX, 2XX, and also my dad's put a little pop mark there because this assembly, the flywheel and the release mechanism for the clutch would have been balanced together off of the engine. Now, the bolts, I've smartened them up. These are high tensile bolts. Put on new nuts and new washers, so these are good to go. Now, the only part that needs replacing is the clutch plate itself. Now, it looks contaminated to me here. This surface, which is obviously key, doesn't look the best. So I contacted Mog Spares. This is the three-wheeler club, and they have the ability to get new components. Not every single component on Morgan, but a lot. And they provide clutches. And here you go. Look at this. A brand new clutch. Ta-da! And there we go. Borg & Beck. And to be honest with you, even if I decided to use that clutch again, even if it is serviceable, what's the point? I might as well replace it with a brand new item while I've got everything apart. Now, I'm going to put an insert here of the issue we had with the old clutch, these splines, basically getting stuck onto the splines of the prop shaft. I'll just show you this. So here we have the splines on the end of the prop shaft, and the clutch really doesn't want to play ball. It is pretty tight on there, and it shouldn't be. It should really go up and down quite easily. Right, so stripping the front down, the first thing I've got to do is take these front hubs off. Now, it's a whopping great nut, which actually wasn't too tight, I must admit. So I just spun that off. And what you'll notice is I'll leave it on a couple of threads so I can use a light persuasion tool to knock that hub out. Here she comes, starting to move now. Remove the nut and then just use a bit of wiggle force. See the steering arm fall there. It's disconnected. Come on, you can do it. And there you go. Now pop it on the bench and take off the spacers. Those will need a clean. And then turn the hub over, removing the brake cylinder and what you can see inside of the shoes and the hydraulic cylinders, and all this lot is going to be replaced with new. Now, my dad made up some very special brackets on the front of this Morgan. Multiple brackets, and really the job is to provide a location point for the steering column firstly, and then secondly the master cylinder for the front brakes, which is removed at the moment. So there are numerous U-clamps which I'm undoing now, all of which have been on there 40 years and covered with a layer of paint, but it's all coming off quite nicely actually. And you can see now it's starting to expose the chassis that needs a bit of love and care really, but that will come a little bit later. Right, next off comes the clutch assembly or the clutch release bracket. Now here there's just two big nuts on the back. They're pretty easy to crack off. There's not really any rust on this thing because there's so much oil from the leaking engine. Anyway, off comes the two nuts and off it slides. And what you'll see me doing here, each side had a couple of washers. No doubt this was for spacing, so I'm going to leave those on and then just thread on the nuts so I know exactly what goes where when I reassemble. This is the last bracket now. This is for the steering column. And finally take off the U-clamp. So with all these brackets, they were pretty skank, I'll be honest with you. They were covered in oil, grease, flaking paint, a bit of a mess really. So what I did first is I gave them a bit of a degrease. I used some petrol and then also used some brake degreaser, and then you can see my media blasting cabinet there. That came into great use again. Amazing bit of kit just to take off the vast majority of the paint. Dad put some undercoat on it, which is so well adhered, I left it in a couple of places because there was no need to sweat it out. So once all the old paint, not much rust to be fair, was removed, I then gave everything a lovely undercoat. Now what I'm going to be doing here is I've got a little sort of system here where I have suspended from the ceiling a long piece of dowel, and then all these are bits of old welding rod where I support bits that I need to paint. So I'm taking one at a time, taking it out into the garden, that's my spray booth, and giving each about 4 or 5 coats of undercoat, really to make it nice and thick and adhere well. And as you can see, part by part is being sprayed. It's very therapeutic, I must say, seeing these old cruddy bits come back to life. And the last bracket, there it is there. And that's probably a good 3 hours work to get these like this. A lot of effort, but worth it. Right, now let's look at the chassis. Now, it was just rather messy. So I was using strips of emery paper here, starting off with quite coarse and then going down and down and down. Now this took me the best part of an afternoon to get all this back. It was more old paint and oil and grime, to be honest, rather than any rust like the other parts. I've sped this up 20 times and didn't film it all, by the way. And slowly but surely it came back to life. Now, as I said, the clutch had sort of welded itself, the clutch plate, onto that spline. So what I'm doing now is I'm really giving it a good clean, first with the wire brush, and then use some degreasing agent, wipe it off. There was a thin layer of rust on this, and then again go back again with the wire brush, and now the clutch plate slides on and off really easily, which is what we want. And what's next? Well, now it's undercoat and top coat.
Leaving this place, the sun's about to break. You're riding shotgun. The feeling we chase, I'm wide awake.
Next is painting the front chassis members. Obviously an undercoat first, then a top coat. I've spared you me masking everything. That took a good 2 hours. And really what I'm doing is just blowing this on. I'm using rattle cans, absolutely fine. High coat paint. And we're going first with an undercoat. Now, before I get lots of complaints, yes, I should have been wearing a mask, but all the windows behind me were open and also the garage door, so there was a good flow of air. Now, it's surprising how long this takes to get in every single nook and cranny. I probably went through 3 cans.
I'm just gonna drive you.
The day was nice and warm, so it was just perfect. I don't know what spraying technique this is, but wow, lying on my back. Hope you're enjoying the music, if nothing else.
We're taking control. The future is ours now.
Now this is actually all new on the front. Well, the cross members are anyway, because as I said in the previous episode, this had been driven into a tree at some time. And my dad replaced that front spider assembly. Just the final touches.
If I'm having a good time, don't you blame me.
The next day.
And here we go, the next day. Everything's dry, so now I'm doing the same, but this time with high gloss black. This takes a bit more care and making sure you build up enough to get a gloss finish but not drips. And I must say, she came up really, really well. Can't wait to take all that masking off. Then you can see the end result and we can start reassembling everything, which is always the best bit. And there we go. Couple last few touches. Now when this is dry, I'll probably cut it back slightly to give it that high gloss, but looking good. Right, let's get all of this off now she's sprayed up.
I'm driving, you're smiling, just really doing nothing. That's the thing I like about you.
Isn't it therapeutic? Removing masking. Oh yeah. It took me ages to put this on.
No, nothing's complicated with you. Hey, playing songs on the radio.
Ah, that looks good. Beautiful. Lovely high gloss finish. I like that. Right, let's take this off.
Brings out all the problems. I got a little crush on you.
Looking good.
You say that I'm crazy.
This is the clutch release mechanism. I've bolted on this part here with these two bolts, and then these two pivot points will be lubricated before I put them back on. I've kept the washers for the spacing. Isn't that lovely? Just to see something like that back to its former glory.
Hey, playing songs on the radio.
Right, so all the painting's done and it looks so good. Right, let's take out the prop shaft. There we go. Ooh, look at that oil on the end, that needs cleaning off. So let's put this over here. Yes, another episode draws to a close. So all of you out there watching this channel, keep tuned because this Morgan is slowly coming together, and boy, when we start it for the first time and take it out on the tarmac, it will be, how should I put it, very, very interesting. So until next time, as I always say, keep smiling and enjoy your spannering.